James Mckenzie, and he writes, "What's up, AMC crew? How's it going, guys? Is it possible that WB will go with only the Carrie Kelly Robin for the DCU, starting in B versus S with Jena Malone? Of course, that is if she is playing Carrie Kelly. What if she's introduced as Carrie Kelly in B versus S, but doesn't become Robin until the solo Batman film?"
There's a lot of assumptions being made. Well, not just in the email, but so it's understandable that you'd ask that in the email because there's a lot of assumptions being made all over the place about this. I remember the first time Jena Malone, who I like Jena Malone, by the way. I think she's really good. She's really good. When it first came out that she was going to be in the movie, and I think she's a natural redhead. I can't remember. So everybody just said, oh, she's going to be, the Kelly girl. That's who she's going to be, obviously. It's like, because she has red hair. She's totally the wrong age, right? Like you totally get that. But I mean, that doesn't mean they're not. I mean, I think movies need to change things up, and that's what they might be doing. However, let's just recognize that's a massive assumption that she's going to be playing Kelly, because she very well may not be, but she might. But if she does, there's another level of making assumptions here that, well, then she's going to be Robin. Well, not necessarily. Let's look back to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, right? You had Dylan Baker playing Dr. Connors in those two films. And you saw him in the first one, it's like, he's going to become, the Lizard. And then he was in another film, and he still wasn't the Lizard. Just because they have a character there doesn't mean they have to make them become whatever their alter egos is. And so it's very possible. I'm not going to say very possible. It's possible that Jena Malone is going to be playing Kelly in the film. It's possible that that's who her character is going to be. But even if that happens, that doesn't necessarily mean that character then goes on to become Robin in any sense of the word. So possible, yes, but let's make sure we're understanding all the asterisks that are going beside all this stuff. Anyway, Christian, you saw all this stuff. What did you think about it?
I agree with you. I think right now it's a lot of speculation, and who knows if this is indeed going to be the character that we think she's going to be. But the one thing with Dylan Baker, by the way, the funny thing is he was going to be the Lizard.
That's what they say.
Well, he said it. He said it as well, too, and it was going to happen in that new movie, but that movie was such a mess.
Where John Malkovich was going to be Condor or whatever.
The whole thing it just became such a mess, and it wasn't as much of a kind of, I don't want to say sure thing, because nothing in this space is ever a sure thing, but there's more of a plan for this DC universe right now. That's not to say that she's definitely going to play this character, but if she is introduced in Batman v Superman, I would actually, just what this viewer had asked as well, I'd actually prefer to eventually become Robin in the standalone, because you go back to the conversation we've been having on this show about how much is too much in Batman v Superman, because we don't know how much is going to establish with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Batman and Superman, which is called Batman v Superman. And I don't want Robin to just be kind of like a throwaway thing. I want them to, if they're going to develop this relationship between Affleck and if it is Jena Malone, I want to see that developed, and hopefully more it's done in the standalone.
John Christian, this needs to happen in this film simply for the cosplay possibilities alone. We need to see more female Robins at conventions. This could happen, and the reason why it could happen is because Ben Affleck is cast as an older Batman, and so the storyline with this female Robin goes that he lost Robin, and that's why he retired. So if that is one of the things that's adding to Ben Affleck's dark, brooding character when he's retired and he's so upset, that's really interesting. And I feel bad saying that I want a dead male Robin to kick off in Batman v Superman, but if that's one of the reasons that sets him into retirement, and then he sees this girl, and then that brings him back into the limelight, along with the fact that he wants to go against Superman, I think that's really cool, and that adds another layer of emotional depth to Batman's character. So if it helps out Batman, my boy Ben Affleck, then I'm all for this actually happening. I agree with you, boys, that it's a lot of people you're cramming into this movie, especially if you try to touch this storyline at all. And anything other than hinting at it, it might be too much for this movie, but for the Batman standalone film, it's an interesting premise, and it's one that we haven't seen before on the big screen since Shark Spray.
Here's one of the other good things this has going for it. Look, I am very firmly publicly on record, no Robin. No Robin, no Robin.
Ever?
Well, no, but let me, here comes the unless part, right? The whole problem I've ever had with the idea of a live on-screen Robin is the fact that in this new universe that they've created, Batman does not take a 12-year-old child into a war with the mafia. He just doesn't. And it would lose something. Even to find out that in his past he did that, it would lose something for me with the Batman character. But that doesn't mean that the notion of Robin is a bad thing, right? I did a video a little while ago on how a Robin could work in the movies. And I think this type of scenario, once again, we don't know that this is what's happening. But I'm just saying, if they went the route where Jena Malone, as a grown adult woman, at some point starts to work with Batman and takes on the persona of Robin, that does a couple of very cool things. Number one, I think it will fulfill the wish list, maybe not exactly, but of a lot of fanboys who want to see it. But most importantly, it also helps fill out that drastic disproportionate amount of women in these superhero films.
Right.
So this could, I still don't know that this is the case, and I really don't think this is what's happening, but it could be really cool if they handled it right.
Yeah, and the other reason that I was thinking about it as well too is because it's not Dick Grayson, to where you start. I think that maybe they even say that at one point that we'll never see, Dick Grayson was in the mythology that we now know. But there, like you said, John, there's it's like kind of like the Dread Pirate Roberts thing. Eventually, there's just more people taking over the persona of Robin, and she's the next one in line that Batman has not wanted because of what happened maybe to Grayson. No, I don't want any more partners, and then she convinces him in a way that works, and a way that works in this new genre and the new tone of the film. Then yeah, it could work great, and I think people shouldn't just be screaming because of gender. That's silly. If it works for the overall story.
Right, yeah. I mean, Batman needs something else to brood on in these new series of films, because we've seen the origin story with him, and he lost his parents when he was a kid. I feel terrible for you, guy, but he got over it, and then he retired. So what brought him into retirement? What was going to bring him out of retirement? Is it just the fact that he's got to go fight this alien Superman, or is it something else that's more personal to him? We have to wait and see the movie.
That's a nice dress.